Hey, what's up, Dave? How you doing?
Hi, Jorge. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Just sort of general here. How did the first day go? How different was it than usual spring training out there in Camelback?
As far as kind of the mechanics of the day, very similar. Unfortunately, not fortunate, but we had to do meetings outside initially, which is different. And the biggest difference is the no fans. So I think the energy was good internally, but you just don't have that player fan interaction, which was certainly missed. But guys got their work in, saw some good pens today, and today was pretty uneventful, which I thought was a good thing.
Do you expect your days to be just very similar to what they were, the usual spring training days?
Yeah, I think so. I think that considering what we went through last year, being mindful of keeping guys, not keeping the guys on the field too long. Having the fans here certainly helps. And so now, just with being mindful of the monotony, and just making sure we just work smart and efficient.
Do you have any guys who reported who are, sideline injuries or any other reason?
Um, there's a couple guys. Mitchell White's a little sore. Um, Joe Kelly's still coming back. Still, just a little. He's not quite there yet, but it's nothing like a setback or anything like that. But as far as being active today, Mitchell, Joe were in that bucket. Um, I think everybody else was a full participant.
What's wrong with Joe?
No, just that there was just a little bit of playing catch, and it just kind of got sore on him. His arm got sore on him, so we just want to make sure that we sort of nip it right now. But nothing of really relevance. I just want to be honest.
Hmm. And is there a challenge in going back to a 162 game season after going through that whatever that was last year, kind of the craziness of last year? Is there a challenge in getting back to that?
Yeah, I think there is. I think that um, it is certainly unprecedented for any team to kind of go from the 60 game to 162. How players respond time will tell. But I do think that the depth that we have, um, managing innings as far as on the field playing, managing usage innings pitching, I think is really important. And how we do that, I really can't speak to that right now. But certainly, I think it's going to be it's not going it's going to be tough. I do believe that.
Is there a challenge in you have seven qualified starters, guys who have done it at this level, at the major league level? Is there a challenge in, there's five spots? Is there a challenge in getting those guys on board, or any challenges that may present? And it's a surplus that I'm sure most managers would love.
Yeah, and I think that you can add Jimmy Nelson to that mix too. So that makes eight. And I think that's a good thing. So right now, I think we're just going to look at it as we have eight um, viable starters, major league starters. And, as the days, weeks kind of move forward, we'll know more.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Next question is from Kirsten Watson. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Dave. It's been almost 4 months now since you guys have won the World Series, and now you're back for spring training. How does it feel to be back together with the team preparing for this season?
It feels good to be with the guys, be around the coaches. I will tell you this is, after winning Game 6, we didn't really get that chance to celebrate together. And so, granted, everyone from that team won't be here for the first day of full squad workouts, but I really am looking forward to getting everyone together to congratulate everyone. But just to kind of be back in uniform, watching players on the field again, to kind of think back a little bit to 2020, but look out and look forward to 2021 is certainly exciting.
And what's the focus for you and the team in these first few days of spring training?
I think the thing for all of us is to get back into the swing of things, limit injury, slowly kind of get our feet under us. And I think that nowadays, guys are more prepared in spring training, but I still think that understanding we still have 6 weeks to go. So we slow play guys and make sure guys don't push too hard, too fast.
Thank you.
Yep.
Let's try this again. Go ahead, David.
Sorry, Dave. Technical issues worked out.
No problem, Dave. Anything for you, man.
I was curious. You just talked about slow playing certain pitchers. In the last couple of springs, you guys have slow played Walker. Is this going to be any different of a spring for him, or do you feel like he may be more ready in spring than years past?
So he will be more ready than in springs in the past because he kept throwing throughout the offseason. Appreciating last year where it was a shortened season, Walker just felt there were a lot of bullets, left out there, left on the table. So for him to continue to throw in the winter, keep his arm moving, will prepare him best for 21. So he's done that through a bullpen today and looked very sharp, considerably more crisp than he has in years past in bullpen number one.
What do you believe he's learned about himself with the slow starts the last couple of years? Do you believe that he's learned to be more ready for this?
I do. I do. So it's interesting because there's a slow start component and there's also the most important time of the year component where he's always been at his best. So obviously you've got to value the latter more. But I think that with Walker's talent, he should have it both and start off well and finish well. So I think that right now, his openness to keep his arm moving all winter shows that, speaks to that.
I saw today on the team's Twitter account that Clayton arrived. Was there any doubt because of the snowstorm that's hitting Texas that he was going to be later than today?
Yeah, we talked a few days ago and he was supposed to be out, a normal report, but with the loss of power, can't get out. Obviously he had to take care of things and get out when it was safe. So yeah, we expected him to be here at some point in time today.
Okay, last one for me. As far as your bullpen goes, do you feel like you have to define any roles as far as your closer today, or is that something that you'll decide as spring goes along?
Yeah, I think that, I've talked about it before, Dave, in the sense that I believe we're at our best if Kenley is closing for us. But with that said, we have a lot of great viable options to finish a game. So right now, that's kind of where it's at. And Kenley looks fantastic. And, as I sit here right now, I expect him to close that first game out of the season.
Next question is from Juan Toribio. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
Hey, Juan.
We saw Price and Vecchia through a bullpen session today. What can you kind of tell us, or what you saw or heard from their session?
So David was very professional, very pro. I think he's thrown, probably a half dozen pens already, and it was evident watching him throw the baseball today. The command was good. Used his entire mix. And Vecchia, first time I've put eyes on him, and he's a guy that has really good delivery, and he's a spin rate guy. He does a good job, with the fastball locating at the top of the zone. So I thought today was a good pen, good first impression for me.
And then you mentioned kind of the workload for the starters. Is there extra emphasis in managing David Price since he obviously didn't pitch last season?
Yeah, and I think that I don't know the exact, numbers, but it's around 20 innings, I think, for David in the last couple years. So, so I don't know the answer right now, but David is very, very in tune with his body. So there's going to be numerous conversations on what we all feel is best as far as workload for David in 21. And I just don't know that answer right now.
And the one more thing for me with Kenley, is that a conversation that you have with him in terms of, we want you to be the closer, but it's not necessarily set in stone, or how do you kind of go about that?
No, I haven't had that conversation with Kelly. I think that, I think with the way that last year ended, and I think that, Kenley had a really good year last year. I think he, led Major League Baseball in soft contact off the bat. I don't think he was pitching his best in the postseason, but this is a new year. I expect him to have a great year. And so for me, I think he's earned that opportunity to start out as our closer. But at the end of the day, I want the guys that are pitching the best to finish the game, and Kenley understands that too.
Next question is from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, just on the mechanics of getting everybody together this year, are guys required to quarantine? Are you getting intake testing similar to last year? Do you anticipate any problems?
Yeah, there's an intake testing. There's a 24-hour, I think, quarantine. And then there's a couple other tests, Bill, that I'm not too familiar with, but the protocols that we're getting from the people that know more than I do, I know that we're adhering to it. The masks under the roof, if you're not, active, the 6 feet social distancing, being mindful of that, just being really sanitary. But yeah, the intake testing and all that stuff we do.
And last year you had a few guys who were late to the preseason because of not passing the testing and stuff. Is there anything to worry about yet on the radar?
As of now, no. I think that, as I understand it from Ron Porterfield, we've been pretty healthy. So as far as a pretty like 100%. So let's hope we keep that number.
Feel free to knock on wood. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Next question is from Alden Gonzalez. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alden. Next question is from Dylan Hernandez. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hi, Dylan.
I guess just first of all, so have all the pitchers and catchers reported?
Cabert's not here. He got hung up with his visa, so we're working on getting him here, but he's not here. Then Clayton showed up today.
Okay. On the team's Twitter account, they showed there was like a short clip of you kind of giving a speech there. And they're just kind of right. You were kind of talking about last year we just weren't going to be denied type of thing. I was just kind of wondering what the theme of maybe the larger theme of the speech was.
I think there's a certain way we went about our business last year, and that's understanding the world of 2020 and things that we had no control over, but still had to stay focused on winning baseball games. And I thought we did a very good job of that. And now when you look out to 2021, not to be mindful of the things that we did very well, and that'll aid in giving us the best chance to win another championship. And also the fact that, you can't win a championship in February. So a couple things like that, Dylan, and it's not easy to repeat. There hasn't been a repeat winner since 2020. So getting ahead of that kind of mentality, I think, is going to be beneficial for all of us.
You mentioned that the team really didn't get to celebrate last year. Could you see maybe organizing something for the guys this spring?
I'd like to think so. It's still, we have to be mindful of kind of, I know we're all kind of in this together as far as testing and things like that, but yeah, it's certainly a thought in how logistically that could work. I would certainly be up for that.
And lastly from me, after you guys won the World Series, did you allow yourself to open like a nice bottle of wine, for celebration?
So I did. I opened up a bottle of I think it was 89 or 90 Margot. So it's not like an awesome year, but it's still a pretty good year. It was, and the bottle was fantastic. I drank a ton of champagne, but I did. That was the one bottle I did, but I still haven't really commemorated 2020, so I'm still waiting on that World Series ring.
It's a nice bottle. Well, thank you, Dave.
All right, Dylan.
Next question's from Eric. Steven, go ahead.
Hi, Dave. Just wondering about the protocols. Given the distancing inside, do you have to split up into like two clubhouses? Use the minor league side? How does that work?
Yeah, so we do have, I think, call it 31 players on the minor league side, and another 40 players here on the major league side. So the morning meeting, as you saw today, probably that we did it in the batting cage outside. But as far as the dressing, getting dressed, the end of the day, getting undressed, two separate clubhouses to kind of minimize the numbers.
Given, you mentioned having 8 viable starting pitchers, do you think at some point this year you would use 6-man rotation like you did last year, or was that mostly a function of the expanded rosters?
Yeah, I think that, to think about that at the outset, probably unlikely. But, it's not crazy, certainly, given that we really don't know what to expect, from playing 162 versus 60 games. So it is nice to have, those 8 viable starters. And at some point in time, I would expect all those guys to make a number of starts for us at some point anyway.
Next question is from Mike DiGiovanna. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, so supposed to use a new baseball this year. It's not supposed to fly as far. Do you feel like that could have any appreciable impact in how the game is sort of played, maybe even some strategy?
I don't think that, in a vacuum, I don't think that will totally have such an effect that it'll be so noticeable. I don't think, because I think then you've got to layer in on, there's times where we've had really warm summers. Then you're talking about still pitchers making pitches. But I do think that I haven't kind of, dug too much into it, Mike, but I'm happy to see that. And there's been many pitchers in our camp that have expressed their feelings as far as last year's baseball being a lot harder and the strings wound a lot tighter than, potentially this year. So it's a welcome thing for the pitchers nonetheless.
In general, would you like to see the game skew back a little toward more strategy, more contact, maybe some of the things that might come with a ball that doesn't carry as far?
Yeah, I do, because I think that I do, because I do think that, the down and away executed fastball that is hit out the other way. I think that, if a pitcher can't go down and away, but the other side is, pitching is ahead of the hitters with velocity and all this kind of stuff with the swing and miss. So that's a debate that can go round and round, but I certainly think that the ball variance and kind of allowing for it to carry less is a good thing.
All right, thanks.
Got a question from Claudia Castro. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave. How are you? Just real quick, just wondering how's Julio Urias doing, and is he going to throw a bullpen session sooner?
Yeah, I think Julio is scheduled tomorrow, and I'll say that this is as good physically as he's looked on day 1 of spring training. So very proud of what he did this offseason.
I got time for one more. Go ahead, Alden.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, Alden.
Hey, sorry about that earlier. Just in terms of that innings jump from the 60-game season and just the workload that's going to be required to make up the gap, do you find yourself more worried about your handling of the starters or the relievers?
Yeah. I think that they're, certainly you can kind of debate both, but I would say just off the top of my head, Alden, I would be more concerned about the relievers usage being ramped up versus a starter.
Now I could just ask a quick follow-up. I know Eric asked you about the 6-man rotation. How much thought have you given to maybe piggybacking starters this season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it has to be an exact kind of one follow another guy, but that's certainly having guys in your pen that can take down 2 to 3 to 4 innings in a certain game is very, very helpful.